Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 3 and episode number 218 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah! I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, and today is it Friday?
No, it's not.
No.
It's the fourth Monday.
Oh, not yet, but soon.
It's fourth Monday.
It's Friday Eve. It's Friday Eve, kids and cubbies. Just make sure to leave your cookies by the fireplace tonight.
Who's coming?
Santa Beaver
Oh,
on Friday Eve. Every Friday Eve.
is that like the Zombeaver?
Zombeavers. Oh my God,
It's a movie.
Is it really?
Have you seen it?
Yeah,
it's really funny.
Heard of it.
It's a schlock horror comedy film. It's really funny. Zombeavers. Zombie beavers.
Oh, we're everywhere, kids. We're everywhere. And it's going to be a beautiful day here at the Beaver Library. The sky already this morning is just gorgeous. I'm your host, as I mentioned, Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, he, Mr. Beaver, and with me as always is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. I don't know about you, Mr. Grizzly. I'm a little scrunkly this morning because yesterday was let's just say we've been very productive in the last 26 hours.
Weren't we just here? I think I lied down for 20 minutes and now we're back online again.
It feels like it.
Not complaining. Just like, I don't know what's happening.
Yes. So for those of you who missed it, we had a special last night. So some bonus beaver for you. Because during the afternoon, certain Mr. David Wallace, I think the name might ring a bell for a few of you, of the Klondike Papers and of the fixer who really broke things, who's now trying to fix them. Well, he sent us a message and said, I have got something going on and I really need to get it out. And he's starting basically a movement.
Yes.
Please, if you have missed it, it's some bonus beaver. We have it out on, and we were able to go live yesterday with it. So it's going to be on the YouTube channel, and the actual podcast version will be coming out real soon. So there you go. But today we still do our regular show because, well, we love you that much. We just do.
Well, this is the thing, and I'm in work mode all the time. So
Yes. How's
I don't know how to stop.
how's your mental health today, Mr. Grizzly?
When I wake up, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'm about the same way. My eyes are very, very, very small, I notice.
Squint-eyed and confused. Yes,
Yes,
that's the lyric from the Tragically Hip. Yeah.
yes. Today is gonna be, first day of curling for yours truly. And the thing is, I thought I was just
Senior curling.
no, not first day of well, technically, in a way, yes, because my senior curling team is getting together to we reserve some practice ice. So,
Mm,
but we're not playing. But my regular, Tuesday men's team, well, it seems that this week exclusively we're a Thursday night team because Thanksgiving's coming and everything
right,
gets
right.
thrown off a bit. So once every 7 weeks we have to play on a Thursday too, and they're actually starting off the year. So I thought we were starting only next Tuesday. No, I got to brush off my broom this morning because we're
Mm.
playing tonight. So I'm pretty excited. And yesterday, best tennis match of my entire life. I played someone who's really good that I've only played once, and we got to 3-3, and then he just like figured me out and defeated me 8-3.
Mhm.
I was up 3-0, then 3-1, then 4-4. Ooh, tension. And then I broke him 5-4, and then consolidated 6-4, and then the time expired. It's like, yes, I played a solid match.
Congratulations.
Beginning,
Congratulations.
yes, and I didn't fall apart when somebody caught up when I blew a 3-game lead. I just like
Well, that's
focused and said, "No, I'm not losing this one," and boom. Yeah. So, I am in a great mood. Okay.
awesome. I, I have to head into the office right now, actually.
Ooh, okay.
Uh, so I'm gonna go mobile in a minute or two. I'll let you, you'll be able to just operate for the next few minutes, and once I get into the office and get set up, I have something I have to take care of. I have a very long day ahead of me, so I'll join you fine folks, in a few moments after I do some tech work on my back end here. Yeah, on the back end, and I'll see you, I can't even
Tech
words are
work,
not
WERK. I'm doing some tech
yeah.
work on my back end.
No, no. I gotta run, though. I will see you in a few minutes. I'll catch up shortly, okay?
It's hard to twerk on a chair. All right, kits and cubs. What have we got in the news? There's a lot going on. Of course, we have the Manitoba election that's still underway, and the Manitoba Progressive Conservatives making some interesting choices to close off the campaign. Um, the election is on October 3rd. There was the debate. I'm hoping to be able to find a time where I can get some clips from the debate and show a few to you. I'm not sure whether or not we'll have an election night special for the Manitoba election. Sometimes we do that. We've done it for Ontario and we've done it for a federal election. Um, but if we're able to, that would be cool. If not, we'll probably do something a little more special on Monday, I think, because I believe Mondays we have more time. Um, but we will put some coverage. Don't worry about it, of some kind. Um, since the debate, going into the debate, polling companies had confirmed that the NDP were pretty much in a lead. Things had tightened up near the beginning of the debate, not the debate, of the campaign, even though the NDP had been leading for about 3 years. But Heather Stephenson has been less than stellar in her performance so far. And Wab Kidu has been delivering a strong and steady, very, very focused campaign, particularly focused on healthcare. And that is the number one issue, according to polling, mainly because of a decision of the progressive conservative government in Manitoba a few years to consolidate full service hospitals in the Winnipeg area. There were 6 full service hospitals with full service emergency rooms, and there was a plan to try and reduce that down to 3. I'm not sure if the other 3 hospitals would have become day hospitals or something like that, or a day surgery unit, but there was a plan. It seems that on paper, the objective was pretty good, but the execution was just horrible, absolutely horrible. And well, it created a mess, and it created a mess right before COVID. And then we got a situation where COVID came along where people, well, as Mr. Canoe puts it, driving further in order to get care doesn't get you seen quicker, pretty much. There was also issues with the government and their treatment of nurses, and um, how many decided to leave the profession as well, or seek, if not leave the profession, leave public service area for provision of nursing services. Uh, the progressive conservatives on their end had a certain number of policies that they tried, but they really tried essentially a repeat of the previous election with Brian Pallister when he ran, when Wab Kidu was running for the first time, and people were getting to know them and finding out that he did have a past when he was young. He had admitted that he had problems with drinking, and that caused him to engage in certain behaviors that he would not engage in today, and hasn't engaged in since he was a teenager. Um, but they focused the spotlight on his past. And of course, um, when you do that with someone who's Indigenous, then there are lots of the infamous old tropes that I'm sure you are quite familiar with, and I do not need to list here for the purpose of this conversation, that get referred to. And Heather Stephenson, while other people have been doing it a little more directly, she has been a little more subtle about it all. Pardon me for a second, kids, I need to cough. Sorry, thank you. But you hear them, she makes references to him not having been totally honest in the past. Just a slight reference when talking about another subject, and that's supposed to be that code that, remember, right? He wasn't the perfect model citizen the entirety of his life, like any of us were. But we need to pay more attention to him because there's something different about him, right? So, and it seems that after the debate, um, because candidate Stephenson did not get a bump, uh, she, she wasn't horrible. But Mr. Canoe was way more polished and more professional. She had certain debate areas in which she was strong, and sometimes she was even stronger than Mr. Canoe in certain areas. Um, but overall, it seems like a situation similar to the federal election in 2015, where the population of the province has already decided that she was going, unless something major happened. Except in this case, there's no debate as to whether or not it will be the Liberals or the NDP that will replace, or that will be the government in waiting for whom people would have an opportunity to vote this time around. Whereas in 2015, Tom Mulcair, when the NDP were leading for a while, and then we had the debates and things shifted. So it's looking like it can be a canoe victory. Now, according to pollsters, and I believe it's Probe in this case, even though Canoe and the NDP have a big lead in Winnipeg proper, where there are the majority of the seats in the province, the way, again, sort of like Calgary, the way that the populations are divided in the city, there are still some electoral districts in that in the city, within the city limits or in the greater area, that are uh, close, and that Mr. Canoe needs to win as well. It's also not a straight rural urban split in Manitoba, because you have cities like St. Boniface and Dauphin and Brandon, uh, where sort of like Medicine Hat in Alberta, where when they had that by-election, sort of all the outlying areas were very UCP, but it was surprising the NDP had done almost the best it had ever done in actual Medicine Hat proper, the city. So Mr. Canoe, they're basically saying, has to pretty much sweep all of Winnipeg, and then, pick up maybe 2 or 3 rural seats. So, for example, the, for lack of a word, metropolitan or downtown Brandon or Dauphin might not be quote enough rural enough to help the Ontario PCs in this case, and that could lead to the NDP securing a majority. If it's a minority, Dougal Lamont, who's the leader of the Liberal Party, is hoping that he'll be able to preserve. I believe the Liberals have 2 seats or 3 in the province. Doesn't look like he's going to grow them, because it really is looking like a split between the 2 main parties, and he's pretty much incidental, even though he has not been performing poorly. It's just pretty hard for him to get a voice in here. But in the case that it is a slim minority, he could be a balance of power party. So that he's still relevant, even though it might be just a fewer than a handful of seats. But after the debate, it seems that the progressive conservatives, being quite aware that they're losing, and I'm guessing that their internal polling is probably not that good, have decided to close off the campaign the final week, because the vote is on the 3rd, so that's just 5 days away, with be very afraid of the Indian. And that's really sad. They have taken 2 full-page ads in the Winnipeg Free Press, one after the debate, and Heather Stephenson during the debate made a point a couple of times of saying that being a premier means having to make tough decisions, and well, she's capable of making tough decisions. For example, the decision not to search the Prairie Green landfill for the remains of 2 Indigenous women who are believed to have been dumped there. Now, this is very important to the Indigenous community, particularly in this era of truth and reconciliation, particularly as National Truth and Reconciliation Day is coming up, because they're basically saying the women that were in the landfill are not trash, and that nobody should have to go to a landfill if they want to spend a couple of moments and pay respects to people that they love. They're right. And in this era of truth and reconciliation, if you get a report like that and you decide, no, you're not going to search the landfill, there's a fear within the community that basically you are issuing a permission slip. Hey, anybody, if you just, and excuse my crude language here, but if you meet one of these Indigenous women, who you can do whatever you want with, and then just dump in a landfill. Just dump them in the landfill. Don't worry, we won't come looking. That's your get out of jail card. Well, of the 4 things she said that she was standing firm on, she listed that as the first one, right on the top of the ad. Standing firm. And during the debate, she had a really odd flex because you'd think that Wab Canoe would be the first to broach the subject, but she's the one that first broached the subject and accused Mr. Canoe of having total disregard for the health and safety of the people that would have to do the search. Even though the report that was commissioned said that even though, yes, there are risks that the search could be done, yes, it would take lots of safety and lots of precautions and lots of, I guess, PPE, if you want to call it that for the purposes, but it could indeed be done. So this is a choice. Yeah. And then
Be right back.
okay. And then again, they decided to take out a second ad. And yikes. It kind of looks like a whole bunch of playing cards, and now they're sort of going after the whole team. And again, the top card in the top right-hand part of the full page ad, again, in the exact same spot where the standing firm against searching the landfill was in the first ad, is Wab Canoe, in a sort of like, the Charlie's Angels gun sort of pose. Bringing back the stuff he did when he was younger. And then you've got 6 other representing different people or groups or within the party or associated to the party or it's in bad taste. It's an incredibly bad taste. Like I said, unfortunately, Mr. Grizzly's not here because I could show you the images, but it's in very, very just. You just watch it and you're like, oh, no, we're past this. We're past this. Fortunately, it does not seem to be working. It seems that the good people of Manitoba, for the most part, are horrified, for lack of a better word, that the PCs went that route. It's backfiring. And that's a fantastic thing. There needs to come a time. Yes, let me put it this. We are all everything that we have done in our past, right? That's one of the reasons I choose, for example, not to have regrets. Now, that doesn't mean there are things I don't wish I'd done better, because I like who I am. And all those experiences, whether they were positive or negative, whether I look at them as positive or negative, are ultimately positive because you need to put yourself on mute for a minute, Paul, please, while you're walking in. Thanks. So there are these things are all a part of me, like all those things, good and bad, are part of Mr. Canoe. But there comes a point in life where, while you own your past, you're not your past, especially if you've made changes. When I was younger, I was not at all assertive and very much a pushover. And when you're like that, you end up in situations that you think, oh my God, how did I get into this mess? And then you make a decision somewhere along your life. I can't be a pushover. I need to stand up for myself because this is not a good path. This doesn't lead to a good place. And then somehow bad situations you are finding yourself in stop happening because you're doing something different. And therefore your life makes a change and you do better things. Now, I'm not saying I have anything in my past that has, of which I'm embarrassed or that would, cause me to be concerned in that sense. I don't have, like Mr. Canoe, had past entanglements with the law. But he did it at a certain age. Alcohol was an issue. The person turned his life around. And today, for all intents and purposes, for what we know, and this has been the case for a long time, he's a family man. He's a responsible citizen, productive member of society. He's been entrusted with the leadership role, and he's been very responsible with it. So why should he be singled out for special treatment? And why should he be identified as, still today, being the worst moment in his life? All of us are not the worst moment of our lives. Clearly, we have that in us, but we're not. So for the Manitoba Progressive Conservative Party to take this man that people have had X number of years now to get to know since that first election, and basically saying, yeah, that's nice, all that stuff that you did and all your program, all your things and all the road that you've done, but you did that once and we're going to hold that over your head forever, and that's all you are. And that's the thing on which people should vote. What you did way back then and not who you are now. Yeah. The good people of Manitoba are not liking that tactic. And that, kids, is what gives me hope. When people are asking about my optimism, my slightly impatient, sometimes angry optimism, it's that I know the people of Canada are essentially deeply good people. And Canada is a fair play country. So, Manitobans are not liking. Yes, reminds you of the federal cons playbook, says Mr. Cal. Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. And Kitlin M, no one continually singles out Scott Moe for killing someone. Well, I do. But then again, I'm not white. Go figure. Actually, that's not true. There's white in this whole mix too. I just don't present as white. Let's put it that way. So yeah, we're in the final stretch, and I hope that Mr. Canoe is able to maintain the momentum, that the trend is his friend, and that we start flipping some of these provinces, because as we've been saying on this show pretty much since the beginning, the premiers are the problem. Our first ministers are the problem at the moment in this country. It's a sad truth. There's a reason why there's a concerted effort at every level of government, particularly the federal, to constantly conflate provincial and federal responsibilities and leave everything at the doorstep of the Prime Minister. Because conservative friends don't tell on friends. Wink. All right. Cassie from Manitoba, Cassie says, was K was in Winnipeg in the Liberal leaders' riding, hoping to take it to. Wab K was in Winnipeg in the Liberal leaders' riding. Yes. And the day after the debate, they were in Tuxedo, which is the Progressive Conservative leaders' riding. So they are definitely on offense. They are definitely on offense, and you can tell that the Progressive Conservatives are in save the furniture mode. So, hey, hang on, kids, more coming. Moving on, there's more fallout from the resignation of Speaker Rhoda. Of course, as all of us could expect, the Prime Minister did deliver some type of apology, and he apologized, as he should, on behalf of Canada and Canadians. And the Conservatives, as we'd all expect, we want an apology, because every single day They're demanding an apology of the prime minister for something. And then when they get one, as always, they're never happy with it. Right? So he delivered the apology and they're not happy at it because, of course, the conservatives are saying, well, this is all your fault personally. You personally should have vetted them, which is not the case because, again, you really do not want the prime minister's office vetting who the speaker or who the leaders of the other parties in the House invite to sit in the gallery. You really, 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 really don't want that. That's not good. That's an abuse of parliament. It opens the door to abuses of parliamentary privileges. So, no, you do not want that. So that is not true. And then they tried to make a big deal of the fact that, he had a meeting with this guy when that was not the case. And when you have a story that's good enough and you have to embellish and lie, that just makes me turn my head your direction. Because that's, again, there's that expression. What are you doing with that other phone? What are you doing with that other hand that you need to have me on speakerphone? That's one of those situations, because you would think that a Nazi in parliament would be bad enough that you wouldn't have to lie that the prime minister personally met with that person and personally vetted him as well. So that makes me suspicious. Like I said, new behavior or unnecessary behavior. Now, this is not new behavior for the conservatives, of course, but this is standard operating procedure, but you know what I mean. Odd behavior, like in the case of India, for example, the prime minister lets people know through diplomatic means many, many, many weeks before, and then goes there personally to have a conversation. And then you would think that, well, if we're friendly countries, that, oh my God, you mean there might potentially be a rogue element in my government? That's terrible. We need to get to the bottom of this. That is the reaction we would logically and reasonably expect. But that's not what we got. So we have questions. Similar here. We have questions. So the apology clearly was not good enough. And we know that there was no circumstance in which it ever would have been good enough. But let's be clear. Like we said yesterday, nobody in the House of Commons, in the House of the people, where they speak in our name and represent us, all of us, all 40 million of us, nobody in that chamber. And remember, there weren't just MPs in that chamber, right? There were pages, there were people in the gallery. Everybody in that house applauded for that man. They all clapped. None of them clapped for a Nazi. None of them celebrated a Nazi. None of them honored a Nazi. And you see all these interpretations. That did not happen. Because for that to happen, all of these people individually would have had to research, known that that person was in the gallery, including the other people in the gallery, researched him, known he fought with that SS. I'm not sure, battalion, division. I'm sorry if I don't have the proper word.
Waffen division.
Waffen division. It's a division. There we go. With a division. And then would have still applauded for him. But that's not what happened. What they knew of this man is what the speaker told them. That's that for which they applauded. All of them in the House of the People, on our dime, on our time, and in our name. So the Prime Minister apologized on behalf of Canada and on behalf of all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And did not apologize personally because he didn't do anything personally. The event happened in the House. And that's what he apologized for, as he should. And none of us should ever apologize for stuff we did not do. They want him to apologize for having vetted him and allowed him in anyway. He didn't do that.
He didn't do that. He didn't vet him.
So now they're taking the fact that he did not apologize personally when he has nothing to apologize for and saying he won't accept responsibility, and look at him again, feeding all the tropes that they've been building for the last 7 or 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not serious. It's just not serious. Right? This is, once again, Our Lady of the
No, of course not. They're
Perpetual
not serious people.
Dissatisfaction. No. Our Lady of the Congregation of Our Lady of the Perpetual Dissatisfaction. Moaning again. Right? They got their resignation. They got their apology. If there's anything else that we need to do specifically with a one-on-one meeting with President Zelensky to smooth things over, or with Canadian Jewish Congress and all that kind of stuff, yeah, that will happen. Right? But I'm even pretty sure, right, that even the people that were hurt by this, there's very few of them that believe, oh my God, he intentionally brought in a Nazi so we can salute him just to hurt us. That is really quite that's right up there with the government set the fires. It's just not serious. We'll see what happens. This is a story that should die down now. So we'll see. Oh, except for that Melissa Lantsman, Karina Gould thing. That was just
the mere suggestion of that is preposterous.
Yes. So once again, Mademoiselle Photoshop,
Yeah.
2022, who denies that she aids and abets causes that, if not are outright Nazi or Nazi adjacent, because she's sitting with the party that brought in Christine Anderson and did nothing, and still we're not having any in press, any juxtaposition or contrast press of what the Liberals did with this situation versus what the Conservatives did with their situation. Because remember, Christine Anderson even came back for a second tour, right? She came back for a sequel. Okay. Then we don't have any press doing the comparative contrast story, just sitting there waiting for somebody to take the story and maybe even like win a Canadian equivalent of whatever Pulitzer is or whatnot, of, gee, thinking that we brought in a Nazi, the Liberal Party within a day and a half got the resignation of their speaker.
Well, and
we have the greatest transfer of wealth theft in Ontario from potentially the most criminal
there's
government.
been no official comment from Skippy either.
Let me finish my sentence, please. From the Ontario government, is nobody is making the contrast point over here that the Liberals demanded and received accountability from another Liberal for having done something that people consider scandalous. And in Ontario, there is absolutely no demand for accountability from the Premier at all, from his caucus or any of the CBC press. We literally have a tale of sliding scales here. Big juicy story. Nope. Nope, not at all. So we'll see what happens with that, because there's probably going to be more fallout, because I'm sure that the Conservatives are going to want to keep on milking this, because they seem hell-bent on painting the Prime Minister as being an anti-Semite.
Yeah.
It's been a theme. So we'll see where that goes. On India, well, some curious things have been happening. For all of India's campaign to basically vilify the Prime Minister, which has been led by one person specifically in the government there. It's been 8 days of, well, more than 8 days now, of just really, really, really strident and ridiculous comments. I mean, right up to the prime minister, the real reason the prime minister was detained is because cocaine was found on his plane and all that kind of stuff. And they got this whole fantastical tale. And of course, the Toronto Sun ran it with a, somebody claims that. That was the story, right? The truth being told is that somebody claimed that. But instead of saying, oh, somebody claimed that, well, let's see if the thing that they claimed is true. Let's make that the story. No, the story was somebody claimed that there was cocaine on the plane. So, yay, let's run with that. Let's not verify whether or not the claim is true. Let's just say, it's true. They said it. That's the story. That's the fact I'm reporting, which is obviously incredibly unhelpful and intentionally so. Well, you have reporter Evan Dwyer from CBC who posted a tweet. It's like, people, I was on that plane. And none of that happened, like, at all.
Yeah, no kidding.
I do not know.
And not only that because that's sovereign soil, right? That plane is considered to be Canadian soil when it's in another nation. So there was no Indian authorities that set foot on that aircraft because they can't without the invitation of the prime minister. Or it's that's as simple as that. It never happened, but the Toronto Sun decided to run with this, and Laurie Goldstein actually came out and said, "This is ridiculous."
Yep. So yeah, even Laurie Goldstein. So Evan Dyer, sorry, I mispronounced his last name. I was on this plane, present at both the aborted and final departures. No Indian agent or dog set foot on board. Post Media did not send a reporter on this trip, instead relying on non-credible rumors. This is a low for Canadian journalism. It's embarrassing that it was published. Diplomatic planes are not subjected to normal customs procedure. No government wants agents of another government on its leader's plane, potentially planting bugs, etc. The plane is guarded around the clock by the RCMP. I left this plane with my own luggage, wasn't searched, sniffed, or scanned. This plane is operated by 437 Air Transport Squadron, part of 8 Wing at CFB Trenton. It carries both RCMP and military police. Oh, man. Yep. And then Toronto Sun, Trudeau's plane had cocaine during G20, claims former Indian diplomat. That was the headline.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's just ridiculous.
It's just ridiculous.
The whole thing is preposterous.
So all this is going on, right? We have incredible stories in Indian press, and they're getting here. Sorry, I can't see because I only have one window at a time. I can't see what happened, Mr. Grizzly.
Yeah, to say the least.
Sorry, I know. Sorry, did something happen to make you laugh? I didn't see it. Sorry, because I had full screen on the text. Hello? Okay, I think we lost Mr. Grizzly. All right. So this man who is India's foreign minister, Subramanyam
I'm sorry?
Jaishankar, I think we have a delay.
There's a lie.
Yeah, I'll just keep talking.
No, never mind. It's just there's a massive delay.
Okay. India's foreign minister, Subramanyam Jaishankar, he's led this pushback. But yesterday in New York at the UN, Jaishankar appeared to moderate his language.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Suggesting that India is open to working with Canada.
Keep going.
Okay, but you need to stop talking then. Okay. And now I've lost my window. All right. Let's try that again. India's Foreign Minister Subrahmanyam Jaishankar has led the pushback, and then he said that it seems that he's appearing to moderate his language, suggesting that India is now open to working with Canada. And the thing that you need to understand, kits and cubs, is that for all this screaming and yelling and smearing of our Prime Minister's reputation by India, um,
Okay.
in private, India has not denied the involvement of the state in this. And there has been there have been documents that have been revealed, that have gone public. And then Jagmeet Singh, fresh off his acquired security clearance, enhanced security clearance that allowed him to see whatever documents were made available that were insufficient with regard to the public inquiry with regards to foreign interference. Well, that same security clearance that PP doesn't have allowed him to see the security information with regard to this. And Mr. Singh has said that he has seen the documents and that he is concerned. Hmm. So Mr. Jaishankar said, I mean, look, if somebody gives me something specific, it doesn't have to be restricted to Canada, but if there's any incident which you know is an issue and somebody gives me something specific as a government, I would look at it, of course. Bob Ray, our ambassador at the UN, says that he's also detected a change in tone, from India's permanent representative, Ruchir Kamboj. So he says that the Indian ambassador made a point of ending at the end of his speech, of Ray's speech, to come over and thank him for his strong voice and thank him for speaking to issues that they both believe are important. And then she pulled him aside to say it's important that they keep working together as governments to work out the situation. So Mr. Ray says he's taken some comfort from that he spotted that there is some room for diplomacy and that there would be more room for diplomacy going forward. So it seems that the last 10 days or so were pretty much strictly for domestic consumption in India because, well, they have an election coming up. Wow, surprising. People making decisions to elevate themselves by pushing down people from another nation and leaders from another nation in order to look strong in a lead up to an election. Well, that's kind of a set play now, isn't it? All right. So, Mr. Singh confirmed that he did receive the briefing on the situation from Canada's National Security Advisor last week. And like I said, that he is concerned. And Canada is not alone. The United States has been very supportive for our call for transparency from India. And remember that India is trying to secure a permanent seat on the Security Council and really needs the United States' backing to do that. So Secretary of State Anthony Blinken raised the issue at something called Quad Security Dialogue on Friday, which is a new venture that the United States has going with India to try to court the Modi government as a counterweight to China. So this, again, international poker table where everybody's cheating. People are trying to get some allies that they think might pass them some cards under the table every now and then. And it seems that he advised them that it would probably be really good for them to consult very closely with their Canadian colleagues, and not just consulting, but coordinating with them on this issue, because from the US's perspective, it is, quote, critical, unquote, that the Canadian investigation proceed, and it would be important that India work with the Canadians. Hmm. And the other bits of news is that Well, some of the intelligence, when everybody was asking, well, where's your proof? Where's your proof? Well, one of the reasons for which we did not need to essentially show proof is because some of the evidence came from our Five Eyes partners. Now, the Five Eyes is sort of like an alliance. It involves Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Canada, and the United States. And Beau of the Fifth Column says to think of it as a sort of a library where they put up the stuff that they know that they want to share with their partners, and everybody can go to the library and consult. And it seems, well, by consulting through the library, well, that's where the information was. So we didn't need to prove it to our alliance partners because, well, the information came from them. Oops. And that might explain why it is that there has been a change of tone noticed in the past couple of days in diplomatic circles. So we'll see what happens from there. Back to the Ukrainian side, what's going on there. I did a little reading yesterday on the Deschênes Commission because we're all learning. And it may not be as clear cut as we think it is. The fact that there was a commission may not have resolved as many things as we think it would have by being told that there was a commission. So, according to Wikipedia, in 1985, Prime Minister Brian Mulroney ordered an investigation into the presence of Nazi war criminals in Canada after a member of Parliament claimed infamous Nazi doctor Joseph Mengele, that might be a name that rings a bell to people, might be in the country. Mengele had indeed attempted to immigrate in Canada in 1962, and Canadian officials were aware of this at the time. The Commission's final report was issued at the end of 1986 in two parts. The first part concluded that the alleged Nazi war criminals had immigrated to Canada and in some cases were still residing in the country. The Commission took a very broad approach to its mandate, investigating both allegations of war crimes, which were well defined, and crimes against humanity, which at the time was a relatively new concept that concerned crimes that were not previously considered war crimes. The Commission recommended changes to criminal and citizenship law to allow Canada to prosecute war criminals. In 1987, the House of Commons passed legislation that allowed for the prosecution of foreign war crimes in Canadian courts and the deportation of naturalized war criminals. The second part of the final report, which concerned allegations of specific individuals, remains confidential and has never been made public. Canadian prosecutors pressed charges on at least 4 men on allegations of participation in Holocaust war crimes. One case ended in acquittal, 2 cases were dropped when prosecutors had trouble obtaining overseas evidence, and the 4th case was stayed due to the health of the defendant. Since 1998, courts have found that 6 men misrepresented their wartime activities and could have their citizenship revoked, although this was not done because the evidence was circumstantial and insufficient. Another 7 people subject to deportation or citizenship revocation procedures have died. Now, it seems that that's that part from Wikipedia, and there's more here. And the one that I liked was from the Canadian Encyclopedia on an entry for the Deschênes Commission. So we had this commission, and the criminal code was amended so that war crimes could be offenses under Canadian law, regardless of Canada's involvement in said war. So that part happened. Now, with regard to Mengele, specifically, in January of 85, the New York Times reported that Mengele had attempted to enter Canada in the 60s. This information was found by Saul Littman in the U.S. government files, but the Deschênes Commission later determined that Mengele had never lived in Canada nor attempted to obtain a visa to enter Canada in 1962. So that was the pretext for this commission for a guy that actually never lived here, never obtained a visa. So on the basis, the suspicion that he had, this commission was there. Now, the issue of war criminals who had escaped prosecution were living in peace in various Western nations had become a major issue in the late 1970s and throughout the 1980s. In a well-known Canadian example, war criminal Helmut Roca had been extradited in the early 1980s to face charges in West Germany after having lived in Canada for almost 30 years. So on February 7th, 1985, Canada's Justice Minister announced that Jules Deschênes, a Justice of the Court of Appeal of Quebec, would head this inquiry. The commission investigated war crimes and crimes against humanity, like we said, which were relatively new. Some 883 personal cases were investigated, which included a master list of 774 individuals, an addendum which included 38 additional names, and a list of 71 German scientists and technicians. From the master list, 341 were found to have never lived or landed in Canada. 21 had landed in Canada but then left for another country. 86 had died in Canada, and 4 could not be located. In addition, no prima facie evidence of war crimes could be found for another 154 suspects. Now, prima facie is a legal term that means based on first impressions. So when you're looking something on its face, prima facie, that's what it means. It looks like there's something to look into here or not look into here. There was 154 people. On its face, looking at it, there was nothing more to look at. And that's accepted as correct until something else happens to prove that it's false. Because the commission was primarily concerned with only cases of Nazis and their collaborators who could be prosecuted for war crimes and available prima facie evidence, 606 cases were determined to merit no further action and were therefore closed. In 97 cases, prima facie evidence could not be found but was believed to exist in the Soviet Union or Eastern European nations. Time constraints prevented the commission from investigating the 38 names on the addendum, the list of German scientists and technicians, and 34 names from the master list, for which answers had not been provided by foreign agencies. Because of these and other limitations, the commission determined there was only prima facie evidence of war crimes in just 20 cases. In the confidential second part of the commission's report, it made recommendations on how to proceed in these cases, including deportation and criminal prosecution. The government was encouraged to further investigate the remaining cases. The final report of the commission was submitted to the government on the 30th of December 1986 in 2 parts. As we said, the first part public, the second part was confidential, and it recommended changes to the criminal code to allow for the prosecution of war crimes. As we mentioned, it gave the government the power of deportation, denaturalization, which is the removal of their citizenship. But it also concluded that the number of war crimes alleged to be living in Canada had been exaggerated from a handful to thousands by the time the commission took place. This exaggeration could be explained, however, by including wartime collaborators with war criminals, as well as accusations against entire military units. That was the case with Ukrainian Galicia divisions, which is what we're talking about here, which the commission cleared of collective war crimes. The decision to do so was controversial at the time. So, again, right, we're trying to give you the full story because we don't know enough to pick a side here. So you've got people going, well, we had a commission, they were cleared. What more is there? Well, it seems that even back then, the decision to clear was controversial. The Galicia division was part of the Waffen-SS, which was determined to be a criminal organization during the Nuremberg trials by the International Military Tribunal. Scholarly research conducted since the mid-1980s has further confirmed the Galicia division participated in war crimes. So this is research since the 1980s, so since that commission. Now, commissions can be reopened to look at further evidence, and this one was, because I believe that we had a commission in 1953 or something like that, and the Deschênes Commission was a reopening of that commission to look at new information that we've received since then. So there is essentially new information since the 1980s that has further confirmed that the Galicia division participated in war crimes. Sorry, pardon me, I have to sneeze. There we go. Pardon me. So the research since then found that the division had participated in war crimes. A heavily redacted document was released through an access to information request that revealed members of Nazi-sponsored Ukrainian police units who participated in the killing of Jews were later members of the Galicia division. Though the government had been aware of the report, they had chosen not to publish it. Some people have concluded that the inquiry helped to whitewash the historical record and was functionally incapable of producing tangible results. These conclusions are based on the following reasons: the Commission's limited scope, its failure to consult Soviet and Eastern European archives, its apparent failure to consult the findings of the Nuremberg trials and other historical precedents, and the suppression and censorship of some documentary evidence, and pressure from the government to conclude the inquiry quickly. At the time, the commission led to a very public and emotional debate between Canada's Jewish community and Canadians of Eastern European descent, which seems to be something that the Conservative Party of Canada wants to provoke again, particularly those who had immigrated to Canada after the Second World War. The Canadian public had been shocked by Harold Troper and Irving Albella's 1982 book, None is Too Many, which demonstrated that Canada's overly anti-Semitic immigration policies prevented European Jews from finding refuge in Canada. Yes, that is an unfortunate part of our national history. That Canada was now thought to be harboring Nazi war criminals and had been doing so for several decades was almost unbearable. For non-Jewish Canadians of Eastern European ancestry who either immigrated to Canada after the war or their families, they were concerned that the commission would turn into a witch hunt. Members of these communities argued that they had no choice but to side with the Nazis against the Soviet Union, a contentious and still debated claim. Members of these communities were particularly upset with the prospect that the commission would travel to the Soviet Union and communist Eastern European countries to consult documents kept by those governments. They argued that Soviet evidence couldn't be trusted. By contrast, Jewish groups argued that there was no basis or evidence that the Soviets had ever provided inaccurate or biased materials. So, yeah. Justice Jules Deschênes attempted to set conditions for the consultation of evidence from the Soviet Union and Eastern Bloc countries, but a satisfactory response was not obtained from the Soviet Union until the summer of '86, and at that point it was determined to be too late, given that the commission was already behind schedule at that point, because it was originally slated to conclude at the end of 1985. So we had a Deschênes commission. And at the time, it was controversial. And at the time, people were wondering if it was a whitewash report. So again, we can't take it's been investigated. They've all been cleared. There's nothing to see here. Move on.
Mm-hmm.
The commission was not as definitive as we would need it to be able to say that as a fact. That's the reality on the ground. So that's, I guess, today's history lesson. I'm no Craig Beardsley.
Sure.
History, and I pretty much just basically read to you verbatim what I saw in Wikipedia and what I saw in the Canadian Encyclopedia. .com. But like I said, hopefully along the way we might be able to bump into someone who can give us more information that we can find out. But again, it's a hot, sticky mess. And because there's so much confusion and there's no...
Did you tap into...
Did I tap into...
There's
the
a
last
major
word
delay.
Yeah, the last word disappeared too, got cut off.
Major delay.
Okay. But did I tap into what?
Yeah, there's a major delay. There's nothing I can do about it.
I know that. I'm asking you to finish the sentence, please.
No, I didn't say anything.
Okay. All right.
I didn't say anything. You misheard me.
Are you talking to me?
I wanted to ask you if you happened to catch the show that Dean did yesterday. Yes, I am. The show Dean did yesterday with Charles Adler. Charles
I'm
knows a great deal about this this division that this person was a part of.
okay. All right. That's good to know. I will tune into that. I missed it. Mr. Grizzly, I think with the delay, I'm gonna call it a show for this morning. Um, um, so, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we loved making this for you. Um, because sharing is
Yeah.
caring. Yeah, it's a smart decision. Because sharing is caring. Please let all your peeps and poops know about us, and because word of mouth is priceless, and your word is gold. So thank you very much. Because democracy is something that you do. Um, if you live in Manitoba, make your plan to vote. Voting days in 5 days. I'm not sure how long early voting keeps going, if it's still on now. But if it is, make sure that you vote early. And if you're voting on the day of, make sure that you bring friends with you because, as we keep on saying, friends don't let friends vote alone. Right. And again, if you're in the Quebec City, the provincial by election in the Jean Talon electoral district is on. Voting day there is October 2nd. Early voting is also on there. Donate to the Red Cross if you can. Write your MPs, very, very, very important. Write your members of provincial parliament, very important. Write your media. Let them know that CBC, why are you inviting Rupa? Seriously, WTF, right? If you would like to be sure that you don't miss an episode, because sometimes we have bonus episodes. Sometimes we have Eager Beaver after dark or after bark. Hey, yeah, I know, saucy Mr. Grizzly, you're making me dizzy. I know. um, uh, I'm having trouble focusing as well. Sorry, kids. Then you go to our pod page, sponsored by the Ray Girl, podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And that's where you subscribe. And since you are into subscribing, well, why not go to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page? And that's where we have so many buttons for you. Like, subscribe, and share. And you can smash with all of them. Yeah, it's a good time. And that will let everybody know that we exist and help get the word out. So thank you very much. And our YouTube subscribers are growing, as are our Twitter feed subscribers. So thank you very much. We really, 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 really appreciate. Yes, Queen needs a nap. Queen Beaver needs a nap. Queen Elaine, absolutely. But there's going to be no sleep till curling. All right. The Beastie Boys must be rolling right now. um so yes, and if you would like to encourage us to do more because you like the product, well, our coffee page is where you go. And right now we don't have the squiggly for you because Mr. Grizzly has had to jump out for technical reasons. But it's coffee.com, ko-fi.com/Eager Beaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And that's where you go to make your contribution to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, where our staff, César and Café au lait and Guinness, he's a good lad, that one, and Chocolat Chaud, ooh la la, are there and working very hard to bring you this show that you love, this show that allows the best damn fam in all of podcasting. That's right. I said it. I declared it. The best damn fam in all of podcasting to join and have some fun. So if you are listening, you go to coffee, ko-fi.com/Eager Beaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And that's where you can make your contribution. And I have two more thank yous to give, again, when I'm able to bring them up and note them. But your donations are coming in, and I thank you so very much. You are contributing to making this. I'm pretty sure if we haven't hit it yet, we're pretty darn close to being the best month we've had since we've come on air from the get-go. So thank you, because that when that happens, it, it gives us a little boost. It lets us know that we're on the right path and we're doing something, and that what we do has value, and it has value to you, and that means a lot to us. So we really are very, very, very grateful for every donation. And if you can't donate that's okay. That's okay. If you can't donate, just spread the word and keep showing up. The gift of your attention is the one we prize the most. That's the one that we cherish. All right. From your Beaver Lodge, this is your eager beaver saying, it's a tough world out there, kids, so please be kind to and gentle with yourselves. And right now I would throw to Mr. Grizzly for some words of wisdom, and then we'd have some credits, and then I would give you an Easter egg. But since I'm not producing the show, I can't exit. And Mr. Grizzly is rebooting his phone, he says. He will be right back. So I have to do what they call in the industry stretch. So let's do that. Let's stretch with some news about Canadians that make us proud from the sporting world. And let's see if I can find it. There we go. In table tennis, Canada has qualified its men's team for the Paris 2024 Olympics. Canada won silver in the men's team event at the 2023 International Table Tennis Federation Pan American Championships in Havana, Cuba, and secured the Olympic qualification there. The United States and Brazil took the top two spots in the women's teams event, and in the men's event, it was the United States and Canada. The top two teams get to advance directly to the Olympics. Canada was represented by three-time Olympian Eugene Wang, along with Edward Lai and Siméon Martin. And the last time the men's table tennis team qualified for the Olympics was in London 2012, where Wang made his Olympic debut. Canada defeated Cuba 3-2 in the quarterfinals, advancing them into the Final Four, which was held in a round-robin format, while Brazil won all three of its contests to secure the gold medal. Sorry, I misspoke. I thought it was the United States. Canada, Chile, and Puerto Rico were all 1-2. Canada's 3-0 win over Puerto Rico and a tight 3-2 loss to Chile meant they ended up ranked second. And Mo Zhang and Evie Liao finished second in the women's doubles category specifically. There we go. Mr. Grizzly, you're back.
Trying to be.
Yes.
I'm having issues.
Yeah, don't worry. I hear you. And I know the feeling. Trust me. I know the feeling. The kids have seen me get upset. I was just stretching while I was waiting for to come back. Kit Saucy says, please unplug and replug your router.
I'm on my phone, wireless. There's no router. It's just my phone on 5G LTE, and it's failing miserably today. I don't know what the problem is. I can't fix it. It keeps freezing. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to end the show properly because none of the apps that I need to do are showing up. So just a bad tech day. It happens.
Okay. We have Kit Cassie here that said, my sport of karate was bumped from the Paris Olympics for breakdancing, which allows me to tell you that at the World Breaking Championships, Philip Kim, aka B-Boy Phil Wizard, took second place at the 2023 WDSF World Breaking Championships on Sunday in Leuven, Belgium. And he will soon have another opportunity to obtain Olympic qualification with a win at Santiago 2023 Pan American Games. There will be 7 spots allocated per gender via the Olympic Qualifier Series, which will take place between March and June 2024. So more Canadian athletes doing us proud, and I am sorry, Cassie, that karate was bumped from the Olympics because, yeah. And I think baseball for women as well, I think. It sort of comes every now and then disappears. And would be really nice if those sports could just stay. Mr. Grizzly, words of wisdom, please.
Well, when your technology fails you miserably, try not to let it get you down.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the least bit upset about this. I'm just, screw it. It happens. Life goes on. Tomorrow's another day.
Yep, it happens. And we were able to deliver a show for the Kids and Cubs. And I know them well enough by now to know that they are very kind and understanding and extremely grateful for whatever it is that we are able to produce. So I know that they're sending you love, Mr. Grizzly. If we can, let's try and see if we can roll some credits.
Yeah, I can't do that.
All right.
It's not working.
Okay.
I'll just have to end it here. I apologize, but it's
Then
not
before
working.
you do, let me just do bum 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 bum. And now we're back for the Easter egg. Scene. Mateo, we heard that you weren't feeling well yesterday. I hope you're feeling much better today, buddy. I sent a whole bunch of energy, healing energy yesterday to hope your way so that you would feel better. All right, buddy? Like I said, if you're still not feeling good today, don't worry. It's going to pass. It's only temporary. You'll feel better real soon. Right? We love you. All right. We love you too, kids. Bye.
Trying to close it. See what I can do here.
Okay. This might be the show that
Yeah.
goes on forever.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't. It's not working. I can't even close this down.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't. Nothing's working.
All right. We are just going to fade into the mist, as Kit Linda M says. I guess we just do a hard exit. Is there any way to save it? Eeh. All right. Bye, kitties. Bye bye. Bye bye. Peekaboo.
Let's try this.